Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2, and welcome back to Varna in Bulgaria. Yep, we're heading into Turkey today. I found a job, headed down that way. We're all the way out to the east, almost like the eastern border of Bulgaria, and we're going to head south finally. So I did swap our DAF back over to our Dutch national colors, and I also put on, this is an Ikari trailer by Cast. I think it's one of the best trailer packs I've ever seen in this game. Really, really good. But we've been hauling container trailers, cargo container trailers in both ATS and ETS for a couple weeks. So I thought we'd try something a little different. Right. We've got 350K, about 20 minutes. So let's see how we do. Lights is on. It's raining. Wipers are on. It's raining. Let's get our info panel up. Like so. Brake is off. Put the lift axle down on the trailer. Leave it up on the truck for now. I think we're all set. We have everything we need. Here we go. So how's everybody doing? It is Sunday for me. It's Monday for you. And we are rapidly closing in on the end of 2019. Unbelievable how quickly this year went by. It really is. This time of year, you hear that a lot. You hear a lot of people saying, can't believe how fast this year went. And I got to thinking, the reason for that, perhaps, is that this time of year, we're always thinking about the previous year and not the coming year. And so it's like 2020 is going to sneak up on us because we're not really thinking about it. We're thinking about 2019. We'll be thinking about 2019 even after 2020 gets started. So I wonder if that's not where we lose the time, is by thinking about the previous year instead of the next year. I'm trying to think about next year, and there's so many things I want to do on this channel. There really are. And I'll talk about a sim that I just became involved with finally after many, many years, and it's something that I would like to bring to the channel. I would. So yeah, 2019, unbelievable. I hope you had a good year, and I hope your 2020 is fantastic. The best year ever. Right, so we'll go right through here. Yeah. Man, it is twisty on this part of the map, and I am continuing to be impressed. All right, there's a little train. I'm continuing to be impressed with how much better the new content looks compared to like the original base game. It's not that the original base game looked necessarily bad, but this game was from what, 2012? So it's 7 going on 8 years old, and I feel like we've really seen some improvements from SCS. I go here? Okay, I go there. All right. I go there. All right. The road got very wide there, and then there was kind of a tire in the middle of it. I don't know if that tire was to indicate, like, don't go any further right than here. I don't know. What do I know from Bulgaria? So, yeah, it's you can see constantly improving the game. I mean, it cuts both ways, because on the one hand, it's like, hey, thanks for continuing to improve this game. And then on the other hand, it's like, well, when's the next one come out? When is ETS2 going to be ready? And I don't know. I don't know if it ever is. Maybe they'll just keep working on this game. You know, there are some amazing games out there that are running on very, very, very old engines and technology, and they work just fine. You know, I follow a channel called Digital Foundry, and primarily they focus on, are we crossing a border already? Interesting. So are we going into Turkey? Hang on, I gotta check the map. Where's the line? No, I feel like this is still... Is it? Yeah, I think this is the border right here. Okay. I don't know why we saw those EU flags and various things, but okay. So, Digital Foundry, yeah, they review sort of the tech of games and graphics, performance. They talk a lot about hardware. They talk a lot about, you know, how games are built on the graphical side primarily. And, I want to be respectful when I say this, but the way that these guys talk about games and technology and hardware and various other things, and the way that they seem to laser focus on the performance of the game, has always had me curious if they even play the games, if they even like the games. They don't talk about that aspect really at all. Somebody like Skill Up, right, really talks about the game itself. Is it fun? Is it challenging? Is it satisfying? Is it, I don't know, broken? Is it good? And these guys talk about everything but that. And I guess that's two different ways to look at a game, because, well, and I don't know this. I'm not intending to speak for the crew from Digital Foundry. I don't know what they would think about a game like ETS2 or iRacing. You know, I don't know if they would sort of scoff at it because compared to a modern day game, a contemporary AAA game from 2019, it's, you know, not exactly eye candy. Or if they would analyze it and sort of evaluate it and judge it for what it is and what it is intending to be. It's not trying to be a AAA game from 2019. It's a whole different animal. I don't know what their take on a game like this would be, but they tend to focus more on really, really state-of-the-art, very graphically groundbreaking or impressive games. So I guess my point is, if I even had a point, is that there are plenty of games that are not visually or technically impressive that are just super, super fun to play and people love them. And there are other games that are graphically astonishing, right? Unbelievable. And nobody likes them and nobody plays them. So, you know, different crowds. You got to know your audience. But I do love this game. I'm curious what happens next. I've been curious for a long time. I have been. So, on to business. You know, I got a new system. My system has really changed some things for me. You know, as I knew it would. You sort of expect that. But it really has kind of opened my eyes to the fact that different games play differently at different frame rates and renders. Something like Truck Sim or Farm Sim is not competitive, and so you're not really looking for, I don't want to say every advantage. I think it stopped raining. Yeah, I think it did. Hang on, let's get our wipers turned off here. All right, so we get these turned off. Off, I said. Off. There we go, and the lights are off. So we're not really looking for a competitive advantage when we play Truck Sim. I want a smooth frame rate. I want my graphic settings as high as they can possibly be for the immersion and for the quality of the experience. But it really doesn't, in my history of gaming, it really doesn't sort of hold me back from enjoying the game until it gets below a certain point where it becomes difficult to control the truck because you're sort of driving between the frames. But for the most part, non-competitive games like this, you have a lot more latitude in how the game is rendered and FPS, stuttering, things like that. You know, it's not really as critical because it's not a competitive game. When you get into something like iRacing, I think is the best example because you're always racing against other people. Although there is AI now, they have AI beta going. I don't know how I feel about that. I think the whole charm of iRacing is that it is only multiplayer. It's not, the game is, it's not pretty. It ain't easy on the eyes. Its draw, its appeal are the physics and the matchmaking and the multiplayer. I don't think it needs AI. I don't think it needs a single player mode. It can't compete with so many other games that are out there that both have an AI racing aspect and look a lot better. Anyway, that's a rant for another day. But something like iRacing, you know, because you're playing against other people, and not only, I mean, obviously I want to win, but almost more than winning, I don't want to mess anybody's day up. You know, I don't want to do something dumb and wreck somebody. and through no fault of their own. Now their race is complicated. They have damage. They can't be competitive, or I take them out completely. I don't want to do that. And so in the same way that it's really frowned on to use a gamepad for iRacing, you just can't be competitive. You really can't even be safe. Carefully. Carefully.
Right. Exit now.
I think it's been kind of a revelation to me that I can have a much smoother experience, and I feel like I'm a lot less laggy, and everything just works better on this system in iRacing. And it is competitive. So yeah, primary goal. Goal number 1, don't wreck anybody. Goal number 2, obviously win. And I mean, maybe some people reverse those priorities. It's kind of a win or crash mentality. I don't play that way. I'll try to drive realistically. Try to be the best driver I can be. And it's a lot easier to drive well now that I can be at that jacked up frame rate. Or something like Squad, where everything is so critical. And now, again, in Squad, I'm playing on mouse and keyboard, which is not, I don't have those muscle memories yet. So I'm kind of, flailing around. But the idea that I would try to play a game like that, I mean, I did try it on my gaming laptop, and it's an early access game. Squad is officially not official. So it's, they're still optimizing and sorting things out as well. But playing it on the gaming laptop, it was like, even with potato graphics, I couldn't quite get it smooth, and it just made aiming and firing, I wouldn't say impossible, but when you're talking about those very finite differences, when you're barely winning, when you're barely surviving anyway, to put yourself at a disadvantage, like having a 5% or a 10% or a tenth of a second delay, it's just, you just can't be competitive. So in that way, the new system has really changed the way that I look at gaming. It's definitely made it a lot more immersive. And I really appreciate that. I do have to get a 4K monitor, though. I know it. Now is probably the time to do it because everything's on sale, but now is not the time to do it because I just bought a computer. It's always something. So I finally got Digital Combat Simulator. I have had my eye on this game for years, forever. Even before I got back into gaming, I wanted to play DCS. It used to just be, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it used to just be the A10 Warthog simulator. That was all that was all you got. And it's evolved a little bit, and now the game is still free. It comes with 2 aircraft. It comes with a P-51 trainer and an Su-27, I want to say. And kind of a base map in the Caucasus. Carefully. And you can learn to fly. I believe there are some missions. You can learn to fly. I went ahead and bought the P-51 Mustang D, the proper, not the trainer, but the proper P-51. It's an interesting model. It is, I guess the DLC is sold through the Steam Workshop by the developer, but a lot of it comes from third parties, sort of like the Straw Harvest in Farm Sim, which was made by, or at the very least published by, Aerosoft. But it wasn't made by Giants. It was made by somebody else, and then Giants just kind of made it official, So I feel like all the DLC is official through DCS, but it's not all made by DCS or Eagle or whoever it is. Eagle Dynamics, is it? Oh, but the company that makes DCS. So there is a ton of DLC. It is, I have to say, very expensive. It's on sale right now, most of it half off, but it is very expensive. 50 US for an airplane that's and then another 50 for the map to play it on. I will say in its defense that you only get what you want. I only want vintage World War II aircraft. That's my sweet spot. It's my Jones. And that's all I'm going to buy. So I'll buy the P-51, I need to get the Normandy map. I haven't got it yet because I'm still learning to fly the plane. And I guess, you know, the reason I mention it and the reason I brought it up is I never thought I'd be able to play that game. I tried it on my Pavilion several years ago when I first got back into gaming. And no way. Absolutely no. It's a pretty graphically demanding sim. And then I tried it on the gaming laptop. Better. But even with potato graphics, not playable. No precision, no accuracy. And then, the day before yesterday, installed it on this system. And lo and behold, on ultra settings, I'm at 100 plus FPS. And it's night and day. It's one of those things that, you know, I don't want to say life's not fair, but it's one of those things that, you know, until and unless you have, you know, a system that meets minimum specs, which in a way is true of every game. But some games it's more true than others, I guess, if that makes sense. There are some games where, you know, there's minimum and there's recommended, and they're really not very different. And then there's other games where, you know what I'm saying? Minimum and recommended are like an ocean apart. To be able to play with recommended settings on recommended hardware is, I feel very fortunate, but it's at the same time I get it, man. Life is not fair, and sometimes it really doesn't feel fair. So if you got a hankering to play DCS, I feel you, because I had a hankering to play it for a long time. Since it was still the A10 simulator, however long ago that was. It's been DCS for a while, but I remember when it was just the A10 simulator. So if that gives you any idea of how long I've been waiting to play that game. Like years and years. So I'm very much into it. Now it's a learning curve game, and I am amazed at the complexity of it. Let me also go on a tangent here. I do realize that when we drive the truck, I very often talk about games, and it might be reasonable for you to say, ill will, why don't you play that game on the channel? And for something like DCS, the reason is because there's not a lot to see right now. Mostly I'm just starting the aircraft, taking off, trying to, doing some maneuvers, and then landing, trying to. It's that difficult. And I do now. There is, in fairness, there are some quick combat settings, and you can just jump right in. It starts you in the air. You can play with labels, and you know, the enemies are marked with blue and red names, and you know, like that other game. And you can just play and have a good time. I want the full experience, and apparently every detail, every quirk, every eccentricity, everything about the P-51 has been modeled. They update the game constantly. They patch it constantly. And looking back through the patch notes, I noticed that just about every patch for the game, the DLC will also have a lot of patch notes as well. So it seems that the developer of the game works with the developer of the DLC, and they improve things together. So as the game itself is being patched up, so are the DLC. And the level of detail is absurd. And flying a World War II era aircraft. I think one of the reasons that's my favorite era is I feel like that was the last era where you really had to sort of take care of the plane. You had to take care of the aircraft. As things became more automated by necessity, right? As we got into the jet era, there are just too many systems and too many things happening too quickly on the aircraft for the pilot to really be able to monitor and adjust, and so a lot of those systems became automated. And at the very least, you had more alarms and that sort of thing. On a World War II era aircraft, a piston aircraft, it's more or less, I mean, it's the same technology in a car of that era. We go left. Oh dear. Okay, so I'll go over here. So this is us crossing into Turkey, is it not? Yeah, it is. Okay. Cool. This is Turkey. Right, so we want to go up here. Man, it took us... How long did it take us to get here? A while. A couple of months? At least a month. This is an X-ray, is it not? Yep. Okay, I've been x-rayed. Beautiful. So we're going to come through here. I see a green trigger box directly in front of us, so I'm just going to take that one. I don't want to get too fancy. It looks like there's another one to the left, but I'm just going to go straight through. Let's keep it simple. So yeah, I like that era, and when you fly the aircraft, there are a lot of things that you manually need to be doing constantly adjusting and maintaining and sort of babying this aircraft that... okay, there's a green light. Beautiful. That will be happy to kill you in a variety of ways. I mean, even something like the fuel tanks, the way the fuel is loaded and the way the aircraft trims. To start the border check, let's get to a good gear first. Start the border check your documents. Okay, that happened quickly. Everything's in order. Have a nice journey. Indeed, I will. Thank you. So fuel is loaded in. You can have 2 combat drop tanks. If you forego those, you will have fuel in the wings and also fuel in the fuselage. You're meant to use what's in the fuselage first because it really throws off the center of mass of the aircraft. So you're meant to use that first. The fuel gauge for the center tank is behind you over your left shoulder. I shit you not. Even with track IR, it is not easy to see it. Now you can cheat. Well, I shouldn't say cheat. That's too strong a word. You can use various displays on screen that allow you to see fuel levels and that sort of thing. And I believe you may even be able to automate selecting fuel tanks. Please pull in. All right, that is open, still rolling. And then we are going to go right through there. Is that correct? I'm loving these border crossings in the DLC. These are so complicated. It really does remind me of Pro Mods, which we are not running and which I feel less and less of a need for, I'd say. Total weight 34 tons. Beautiful. So we go right through here. We got one more trigger box, it looks like. Okay. So I think there may be ways to automate the fuel selection. I don't want that. I want to do it manually. I think there's a way to get your fuel load displayed on screen. I don't want that. I want to have to turn in my seat and look behind me to see that fuel gauge. And the thing is, if you don't monitor it and you run out of fuel, the engine just stops. So, you know, before you get into conflict, before you start shooting, you may want to check that. And, right, checking documents. This is taking a little longer. All right, here we go. And if you've already dropped your combat tanks, your drop tanks, which you would do, you would drop those before you get into a fight because they add weight and drag. You would want those gone, and you would only have the fuel in the wing tanks and fuselage. But then even afterwards, even after you drop those, you need to monitor, and if your fuselage tank is just about to be exhausted, you would want to switch to one of your wing tanks, but you can't, first off, you can't run out of fuel by neglecting to switch to the other one, but you have to switch back and forth between the two, or the aircraft will go out of trim. Right? Because one wing will be heavier than the other. And you have to do all this while you're flying. There's no autopilot. There's no, I think there may be like a leveling. It's not a proper autopilot. It just holds you straight and level. But yeah, you see what I'm getting at? Like, and I love that. I love that about that era, and I love to see that level of detail in a sim. But at the same time, the learning curve, and even just memorizing the keyboard commands, because it's not, it is an active cockpit. It is a living cockpit. You can click on every switch and dial and button in the cockpit. You can click on with the mouse. But you also use the mouse to look around if you don't have track IR or something. So I'll need to get track IR, and I do have a flight stick, which I'm using now. It makes it better, but you really need a proper flight rig, a proper HOTAS. Throttle on one side, flight stick on the other, and a lot of buttons and switches on your flight stick and throttle. It's taking one hand off to concentrate, taking one hand off to reach up to the keyboard, and then looking away from the screen to see key combos is, like I was saying about something like Squad, it makes the difference. You know, that 1/10 of a second makes a difference. So at this point, I'm able to start the aircraft, I'm able to take off, I'm able to land pretty consistently. And that's about it. But it's my understanding that the AI uses actual accurate maneuvers, and that they will very quickly get in behind you and just end you. And that the way to get out of those traps, like the way to win a dogfight, is to use actual dogfighting techniques. Like you can't just fly around and turn a lot. Oh, and of course, as you're doing all that, the aircraft is trying to stall. You can G out. You can brake the aircraft. You can go too fast. It's just, there's so many things that you need to remember. And I love it. That is the level of detail that I'm looking for in a sim, and I'm just blown away that I can finally play that game after waiting all these years. It is what I expected. It is more than I expected, and in some ways it is, I don't want to say worse, but it is, be careful what you wish for in this life. It's the difference between Call of Duty and Squad. They're both great games. They are. Call of Duty is, I mean, there's a reason it made $1 billion, and Squad is in early access.
Right.
Call of Duty is awesome, and it's fun. It's hard, and all these games, any type of game like that, you're gonna get some of the chicken dance. I watch a YouTuber, two actually, Splattercat and Mr. Fruit, that both play a lot of Call of Duty. And they play a lot of different games, but one of the games that they play is Call of Duty. And you do see the chicken dance. You do see people sort of bouncing back and forth. You do see people doing the chicken dance in Escape from Tarkov, because it's really the only way to be competitive and survive. And it's not that people are necessarily cheesing the game, but it's a way to play and win and survive. I don't think it looks very realistic to jitter around like that, but people don't want to get killed. They don't want to get rinsed. Now, wow, look at these lights up here. Good grief. We're going to stick our head out the window here and look at this as we go past. Unbelievable. I love it. I don't know if that sort of thing is in DCS. I know you don't see a lot of that in iRacing. I think because racing and air combat, I think because they're more serious. I don't want to say they're more adult, but you know what I mean? They almost are more adult. It's like the people that you're playing against in multiplayer are not going to do the equivalent of the chicken dance, because it ruins the immersion. That's no fun. It's just not a good look. Whereas something like Call of Duty, who cares, man? We're just playing a game and having fun. So contrasting the two, I know there are flight sims and combat sims that are just fun. They're just fun to play. You just play them and have a good time, laugh and cutting up. Something like DCS, I don't know that there's as much laughing and cutting up. Maybe some, but it's a in some ways kind of a boring sim. But I'm not looking for boring. I'm looking for realistic, and realistic is sometimes boring. Is that a sprinter in front of us? I believe it is. All right, so they're going. Now we go. I'm going to get our axles up here. I think we are just about at our destination. through here. And then, oh, this is interesting. Stop signs at a traffic circle. Interesting. Now, I see some...
Exit now.
Ah, that was my concern. I see some people over there on my... on my right, going left. I guess that's how they do it. I was told that the outer lanes of a traffic circle, if you're in the outer lane, you need to be exiting at the next possible exit and not continuing around. Continuing around is what the inner lanes do. But who knows? Anyway, DCS. Yeah, I'm excited. I want to bring it to the channel. I want to bring flight sim and racing to the channel so badly. I just have not figured out a way to do it and make it fun and entertaining. I've done a ton of test videos, but it's just not there yet. And even DCS right now, I mean, if you want me to make a video of me taking off and landing over and over, I'm happy to do that. And I mean, I sort of want to. I wouldn't mind you seeing the progression. Like, this is where we're starting and this is where we're trying to get to. But I also, you know, I always want it to be entertaining and fun and cool. I know I've seen some live streams that are just people doing stuff, you know, and it's tricky because a lot of gaming videos, it is just people doing stuff, and it's a really kind of a fine line between like making an entertaining video and just hitting record while you do stuff. I want mine to be the former, not the latter. So I'm happy to make a DCS video for you. Let me know if you want to see what the game looks like. But at the moment, I am early days as far as getting the hang of that game. It is amazing, though. Check it out. And it's free. If you just want to play it, if you don't want to buy any content, you can just play it. Oh, God. I thought they were swinging out a little wider, and I certainly thought I was stopping a little sooner. I cannot believe, for all the close calls we've had, that we have not hit anybody or got a ticket so far. Oh, we are definitely in Turkey. There it is. There's a Turkish flag. Beautiful. Turn right. Turn left. Yeah, that's what she said. Turn left. Okay. So we go right in here, and it looks like our destination, our stall, is right around here to the right in the back of the yard. Okay, cool. How did we do on time? 33 minutes. That's not bad. It's not bad. We were lollygagging a little bit, as we do, you know. Never in a hurry. As long as we're on time. That's all I care about. I don't need to break any records. Right. Where are we going? Okay. Not, I mean, it's not the hardest, but it's going to be a little tricky with these two. You want to do it from the blind side? Yeah, let's do it. So we'll go right out here. And then I think we can throw it over. It may take 2 swings, but I think we can throw it over initially. You know what I mean? And then we may need to pull forward to straighten it out. But at least we'll be sort of approximately lined up. Concentrating. Maximum concentration. Perspective is a little tricky sometimes. I can't necessarily see where I am with regards to this one on the driver's left, viewer's right. Yeah. 2 swings, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Let's straighten her out a little bit. Could have been worse. Here. I think, yeah, that sort of lined itself up. I didn't even plan it that way, but when we pulled to straighten it out, as we were juking and jiving, it ended up kind of centered all on its own. All right. So, it's not bad. Not bad. Right there. Neutral. Parking lights on. Engine is off. Let's see how we did. Frozen octopi. Fantastic. Made some money. Beautiful. There you have it. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of European Truck Simulator 2. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.